Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial. This segment's being brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals, entrepreneurs, and business owners publish to inform their consumers, grow their practices, and to leave a legacy. We're doing a series of special spotlights on elder law and estate planning. Joining me on this segment is Muriel Tinkler. She's an attorney and founder with Tinkler Law, LLC, based in Maryland. Muriel, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Muriel, tell us, I know elder law is a broad subject that covers a lot of different areas. Can you tell us a little bit about your specialties in those areas and who are the types of folks that typically reach out to you to help?
Well, I get all types of folks reaching out to me, but the area that I specialize in, or I focus on, we can't say specialize, is special needs planning. I used to be a foster parent, and I still am a foster parent, and I just love helping people with kids who have disabilities. What's going to happen to them if something should happen to you? You know, if you are incapacitated or if you die, what is going to happen to your child? How are they going to live? So that brought me into elder law, which is long-term care planning mainly. And so I guess they kind of overlap a
hmm
lot. So people who have kids with special needs, and then people who may be planning for incapacity as they get older. So those are
Yeah,
the areas that I focus on.
yeah, I'd love to raise some more awareness on this topic. So tell us a little bit about what are some of the biggest challenges those families face when they reach out to you? What are they seeking help with?
A lot of times they are in crisis, which is not a very good time to. You don't want to wait until you have a crisis before you reach out. You would, it's preferable to be proactive about it. But a lot of my clients today are mainly dealing with long-term care planning, and so it's two ends of the spectrum. So the people who are looking at long-term care planning, they're usually in their 70s and maybe early 80s. And they're looking to find how are they're looking to find out how are they going to pay for long-term care. And unfortunately, a lot of times it's not until then that they realize the cost of long-term care, especially if you can no longer take care of a house that you have, and the maintenance and utilities and things like that. And you're looking to move into a place where you can downsize, or you can still live independently, but you don't have to take care of as many things as you would typically have to if you own your own home. So now they're looking to figure out, how am I going to pay for this? How am I going to pay for this and still leave money or my assets to my family? That's one end of the spectrum. And then the other end of the spectrum are people who have special needs, children or children with special needs. And a lot of times, at least my clients are older parents. So they're in their 40s and 50s, and they have children who are either minors, or they have severe enough disabilities where they just would not be able to live on their own. So they're starting to think, hey, what if something actually happens to me? How am I going to make sure that my child still lives in the same comfort that they're living in now?
I'd love to hear more about that. What are some of the solutions that you've found that are helpful in those situations?
So when you're looking at children with special needs, a special needs trust is a wonderful way to leave assets to your children and still allow them to qualify for things like Medicaid. A lot of people don't think about Medicaid benefits. There's some things that Medicaid provides that doesn't matter how much money you have, you wouldn't get it unless you had Medicaid.
hmm
So, even people who are leaving their child maybe $1 million. I know that sounds high in terms of Maryland, depending on what part of the country you are. But if you leave your child anything over than $2,000, it can disqualify them for Medicaid benefits. And you don't want that to happen. You want to ensure that they have, health care. If they have specialists that are covered under under their Medicare plan, Medicaid plan. I'm sorry, there's Medicaid and Medicare, and I don't want to confuse people, but it's Medicaid. is what they want to make, you want to make sure that your child qualifies for and continues to qualify for. And a lot of grandparents, especially, they leave inheritances to their grandchildren, not thinking that this could possibly disqualify them. And that happens a lot. And a way to get around that is to just leave it in a special needs trust. It's irrevocable and it's paid to the benefit of the disabled person. That's one common way that people get around qualifying for those benefits for someone with special needs. And it's different on the opposite end of the spectrum. If you're about to retire or you're retiring and you're looking to qualify for a long-term care facilities, then unfortunately, I get a lot of people who are in Medicaid crisis planning. So they realize that once you get to a facility, just for instance, I think in Maryland, the average range of a long-term care facility is somewhere around $10,000 to $11,000 a month. So you think you may have 100,000 or $200,000 in your uh, maybe 401k that you saved probably your whole life for, and you're thinking, okay, this will get me through retirement. But then something comes up and you may become incapacitated and you can no longer take care of yourself. Well, that $10,000 or $11,000 adds up really quickly and it could eat through your entire savings. So a way to prevent that from happening is something called Medicaid crisis planning, where you set up a Medicaid asset protection trust. And if you're single, on average, we can save at least 50% of your assets. But if you're married, it's more than most of the time. We can save 100% of your assets. So it just depends on what your situation is.
I know a lot of folks have kicked the can down the road, kept their head in the sand about the subject because it sounds complicated. Is it simpler than people may think? What are the steps? What do people need to do if they don't know where to start?
Um, It is a little bit complicated. Medicaid, just the manual for Maryland alone is 855 pages.
Mm.
So it is a little bit complicated trying to maneuver. But if you want help and you want to find out a way to maneuver through this whole process, especially before you get to the crisis stage, contact an elder law attorney. I know it sounds like I'm advertising, but there's so many programs, especially in places like Maryland and other cities and other states. They have specific programs that can help you, at least initially, for free. And there's a lot of the long-term care facilities who have programs that you just maybe register for I don't know what they call it. I think it's sort of like a pre-registration process or something, which doesn't tie you into going to their facility, but it enables you to access trainings and all sorts of things like that for free. So I would start learning about it now. Contact the elder law attorney, get a free consultation, contact a senior advocacy program. Maryland has one. I think it's a senior advocacy network. There's a lot of programs like that in different states. I would start learning as soon as possible.
I think a lot of people have a misconception out there that, oh, I don't need to do this yet. I'm not that old. Or like, when is too early? What's the age? What's the right time to start planning for this?
I think it depends on how stable you are. As an elder law attorney, I work a lot with financial advisors, CPAs, even real estate agents, which sounds unusual, but I do. But it depends. If you have a child with special needs, it's never too early. As soon as that child is born, you can start getting benefits for that child. You can start seeing specialists, making sure that they're, you know, uh, getting whatever it is that they need to get. It's never too early to start planning, especially for children. But when you're talking about your own retirement, I'm thinking 45, 50. In your 50s, I think it's reasonable to start at least looking, because you want to look for things like long-term care insurance. If you wait until you're 70, then you can be disqualified for a lot of programs and a lot of insurances and just government programs that you would have been eligible for at 50. So definitely by 50, I would strongly consider looking into that. There's things that may be more important, in your 30s, like, just ensuring that you're stable, you have a stable job, you have a home, your children are taken care of. Those things are eminently important. But as you're getting older and your children are growing older, they're starting to leave the house, those types of things, then you definitely want to look into long-term care planning. And that's just on the long-term care planning side. Now you have to look at estate planning as soon as you have kids, as soon as you purchase a house. When you graduate from high school, that would be a wonderful time to start estate planning, because you don't even think about when you're graduating from high school and you turn 18 and you're going away to college. What if something should happen to you? No kids ever think about bad things happening to them. But if you get into a car accident and you can't make a decision on, you're not capable of making a decision on your own, who's going to make the decision for you? Do you want it to be a stranger, or would you want your parents to continue to make those decisions? Well, at 18, you have to have advanced directive. We call them advanced directives in Maryland, but other states call them a living will and a healthcare power of attorney. You need things like that, even at 18. So I would start the basic process, at least. We call it foundational estate planning in my practice. By 18, why not?
That sounds really insightful because people at 18, they're thinking. I think a lot of people have this misconception that, oh, I don't have anything yet. I don't have any stuff, so I don't need to
Mhm.
think about any of this. But you make a great point that it's not about the stuff necessarily. It's
Mhm.
also about the healthcare directives and other things.
Absolutely. Like in my practice, we focus more on, I mean, and I think mainly it's because, and I know I'm jumping around here, but I think it's mainly because in the Baltimore area where I am, people don't have millions of dollars of assets like they may have in New York or California or other major metropolitan areas. So, what's really important? What is it that you would like to leave behind? What's important to you? So, like for my dad, his legacy, he had, a whole bunch of recipes. He was a chef in the Navy. So he had all these recipes that he's been gathering since before he even went to the Navy. And, as the years went on, our family just build and build on these different recipes. And that was one legacy that he wanted to make sure he left behind. Stories of your family or your family history or pictures, things like that. If something should happen to you today, what is it that you would want someone to remember about you or about your family or about what's important to you? That's, in my mind, what estate planning is. It's not just money and assets.
Muriel, for folks that are listening now and tuning in that resonate and that now are aware of the need, how do they, and if they're in the Maryland area, of course, how do they find you, connect with you, and learn more?
Oh, they can go to my website, which is tinklerlawllc.com. They can give me a call. If you're in the Maryland area, you can call me directly. It's 410-936-5104. Or if you're outside of the Baltimore metropolitan area and you would like a toll-free number, we have a toll-free number, which is 866-984-0044.
This has been terrific. I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing with my audience today. I wish you continued success for you and for all of your clients.
Oh, thanks. It was my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Muriel Tinkler. She's an attorney and founder of Tinkler Law LLC based in Maryland. This segment's been brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals publish to inform their consumers, grow their practices, and to leave a legacy. That's all for now. I'm Mark Imperial, and thanks for tuning in.